Craig, Connor McDavid earned the NHL's first star thanks to 12 points in the last 4 games last week. 9 points, of course, over the weekend alone. Was that just a bit of a blip, or are we looking at a moment that's going to be the huge turning point for Connor McDavid to get back on his game this season?
Are you serious, Gino?
I got to ask.
For the best player on the planet? Like, wait a sec. You can ask, but are we really serious asking, is it a blip?
But Craig, 9 points over 2 games. He's not going to keep that pace going.
Well, no kidding, Gino. Thanks. Like, really? The best player on the planet is real simple. All he's done is dominated the league for the last number of years. Just because he wasn't dominating doesn't mean he wasn't the best player. What he has done is now showing that he is the best player and producing like the best player on the planet. Has he turned the corner? Absolutely, he's turned the corner. And when you consider where McDavid was at a couple of weeks ago, Leon Draisaitl talked about it. He said we were lacking confidence. I know it's hard to believe when you see a player of this great struggling to produce at the rate that we're accustomed to seeing him produce at, but it happens. And he had lost confidence to a certain degree in his puck play. That's no longer the case. Gino, by the 50-game mark or before, a healthy Connor McDavid will be leading the NHL in scoring.
All right. Now I want to say to you, yeah, thanks, Tips, obviously. All right. It's not just offense, though. Not only the Oilers' offense are up for 13 goals in the last 2 games, but I think, personally, just as impressive, they only allowed 2 goals against the Caps and Ducks. Yes, neither of those teams in a playoff spot. But which of those 2 stats to you is more significant as a team, what they did offensively or defensively?
I think defensively, the offensive metrics were all there. They have a good process. They weren't being able to finish, and you could call it bad luck, but the process was there. Defensively, it was a disaster. And when you're not playing well defensively, you are not going to be able to always outscore your problems. And as good as the Edmonton Oilers were last season on the power play and offensively, 4 career years from McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you can't outscore bad defense. And certainly the goaltending wasn't up to par. But in the 5 wins in the last 7 games that Stuart Skinner has been in the net for, .948 save percentage. His game is back, and the Oilers' defensive game is back. What we saw down the stretch last year headed into the playoffs, that was a good defensive team. They have returned to that, and I think that if you think you can always outscore your problems, you're kidding yourselves. The Oilers got back to really good defensive structure, and now the offense is taking care of itself with high-end offensive players.
Okay, sample sizes. I understand Connor McDavid's Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet. He's going to turn around. We knew that. But do you really believe in the Stuart Skinner right now? Is this really who he is moving forward?
.948 save percentage? No. But what he was before this stretch, it wasn't what he was either. You know, he won 29 games last year, Gino. He was the finalist for Rookie of the Year, made the All-Rookie team. The Edmonton Oilers said, you're our guy down the stretch, and the record was terrific. And, you know, coming into this year, I think Jay Woodcroft made a massive mistake based on 2 games saying that Jack Campbell was a starter. He basically told the guy that led them down the stretch to 29 wins and was so instrumental in the success down into the playoffs last year that you weren't our guy anymore. I think that was a big mistake by Jay Woodcroft. He paid for it with his job. I think that Stuart Skinner suffered a little bit with confidence now. Absolutely nobody's going to be at a .948 save percentage, but I think Stuart Skinner's back.
To your point, Edmonton's allowed 2 or fewer goals just 5 times this season. 4 of those 5 times happened in the last 8 games. So maybe this is the defensive turnaround they have so desperately needed.